Welcome. This is a new episode from our show, Closing the Gap. When we thought of this program, we thought to go to a regular home, a normal family, a family that are raising their children in the States or in the immigration land, and really have a normal conversation. I promise you, I did not give them any script. None of them are scripted or know even the questions, because I myself did not prepare the questions. So this is the most free talk you will ever hear. And I can promise you, you are about to hear an excellent words from this blessed family. Let me first start by introducing each one of the families. So we'll start with the parents. My friend, go ahead.
Nader Barsoum, and I'm a pharmacist.
Nancy Barsoum, I'm an engineer.
Michael.
I'm Michael Barsoum, and I'm in my second year of college.
I'm Kristen Barsoum, and I'm in my second year of high school.
Caitlin Barsoum,
And what grade are you?
first grade,
First grade. Wow, great. So how old are you?
6,
Wow, 6 years old? And how many teeth you lost? 5 or 6? 5, and you are 6 years old? You are so lucky. So this is the Barsoum family. I know them for many, many years. We serve together. We share so many retreats and services together. I'm so proud and honored to be amongst them. Between micromanaging and coaching, how much parents are coaching and how much our sons and daughters are thinking we are actually managing. And mom should say, Mom, that's too much. You are all over the place. You always tell me what to do. That's managing. But you may actually very normally saying, but I'm trying to actually coach you. I'm trying to guide you. So I'll give you an example just to start off. For example, you are in college. By the way, Michael is in one of those amazing 7-year programs. So one day he's going to be a physician, and we're very proud of him. Only a very few people go to this school, and he's one of those bright, hard-working students. So he decided I want to be a lawyer. And all of a sudden, Dad says, no, you're not going to be a lawyer. No, under my whatever. You are going to be a doctor or a pharmacist. But I don't like to be a doctor. And they start, in their opinion, coaching, in your opinion, managing. The example may not be true, but for the sake of just discussion, let's just run with it. I'll start with your group, with this group first. Kristen, Michael, or Caitlin. How much of what mom and dad are doing or saying is considered, in your opinion, actually micromanaging? I'll start with you first.
Okay. I really sometimes they can go overboard, but usually they're just trying to guide me and help me. I don't mind it, but there's just some things where they have to stop.
Like they will keep nagging about the topic, or just the topic that you don't want and they keep insisting on it?
It's if I want to do something, they're going to say no, and it's because I already had the experience, it's not good, but I want my own experiences. I don't want to follow them.
Okay. I would love that if you guys can bring an example. If you are not ready for example, think of one. I'll turn to mom and then come back to Michael. By that time you should. So Nancy, how much you think you are actually coaching, and how much, in your opinion, your kids misunderstand you and you are actually managing and micromanaging every single detail in your daughter's life?
I think micromanaging actually happens when they're younger. You're constantly reminding them to do certain things. Coaching, I think, started, as they're preteens, you give them advice, but there's also micromanaging, but there's the coaching that steps in to explain why things should be done.
So Nader, if you want to define the borders, the limits upon which a coaching will switch to become a micromanaging?
I think we can sense it in the child. If the child is starting to fight back or argue back for their space, I think that's when we start to know that maybe we're micromanaging. I think the child definitely wants to have a sense of their own experience, as Kristen was saying. We worry as parents that they don't fall into pitfalls or have troubles. That's our only concern. I find sometimes what leads me in my life in making some decisions is I love the Bible and I love the stories of the Bible, and I think the Bible really needs to speak to us on daily living. And one of the toughest stories, but yet it's a very, very common and well-known story, is the story of the prodigal son. The love of the father was so great that he trusted in the work that he put in his child. And when the child said, "Give me my freedom," it's very hard for any of us to say, "No, I can't. I'm too worried for you. Or there's too many wolves out in the street." But he trusted in what he did and what he put into that child, knowing that that child will eventually realize the blessedness of the home. I think when the child begins to fight back, we need to evaluate whether we're taking over their territory and slow down a little bit and begin to coach a little bit. And I think that's the
Very nice. Michael?
So sometimes I find it annoying when mom or dad keeps harassing me about something. But usually, like, as time goes on, I find that it's like it wakes me up sometimes and guides me on the right path.
That's very interesting. So sometimes when they first approach you with the topic, you are considering this really empowering, possessive, tyranny, micromanaging.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you find that actually what they did was guidance.
Mhm.
Is that what? That's very
Yeah.
interesting. So, is that happen because you are just a wise man, or that happens because you are in college? And when did you reach that level of? Because a lot of people really are very much rebelling, and they feel parents are all about managing. They are not about guiding or coaching. So when did you reach that level of wisdom? Is that all your life? Or?
No, I think by the end of high school, when I saw like what people were going through and
see.
like all the different range of kids and how they
I see.
respond to things, I
Okay.
started to realize that mom and dad were there to help me and guide me on the correct path.
Caitlin, I have a question. You're so cute. So Caitlin, if mom told you, go to bed, you must sleep, and you want to play, or you don't want to go back to bed yet, or there is Finding Dory in the movie and you want to watch the rest of Finding Dory, what do you do?
I tell her how much. If I was watching TV, could I watch it for a few more minutes?
I see. But why would mom insist that you go back to bed right away? Why is she doing that?
Because I have school sometimes in the morning and she doesn't want me to be late for school.
Oh, so she had a good reason then. So she wasn't just want to upset you. I see. So back to you, Kristen. Very good answer, thank you. So Kristen, did you think of any example?
Well, it's like a group of examples.
Please.
So throughout middle school, they would always have parties for the good grades. They could all go after school, and I'd always ask them, and they're like, "No, we heard parties at school. They're no good. You don't know what goes on." And it's I'm with my group of friends. You need to trust me and let me take that initiative.
Okay, now we're talking. So, in your opinion, they refuse something without learning all the angles, and to you that was overuse of their power and authority as parents. As a obedient young woman, you finally agreed, although you were not happy.
Yeah.
How much you missed out on all of that?
It was a bunch of times. All my friends would be together, and when they're together, they talk about the times, and I can't relate to it because I wasn't there.
I see. So Nancy, what do you think? Why would you say no to something like that?
It was sometimes the teenagers, they're, you know, you kind of sense they're distant to their parents, and you're afraid that, you know, if they do something after school, like I still needed to build a trust. That's what it was.
Right.
I needed to build a trust. And
You mean the trust in her or in her?
yeah, like that we feel comfortable that, you know, if there was a certain party that she can go to, we would feel, you know, like we would say yes. But sometimes, you know, teenagers are teenagers. They're not, you know, they can be a little bit rebellious. And sometimes when they're in that rebellious stage, you know, you don't want to, you know, tell them, you know, yes, you could do this. Or so you still need to feel that they, you know, like you want to make sure that they're on the right path.
Yes.
But we never, I mean, there are times when we did say yes, and we did build a trust. And we did do that in the end. We didn't totally, completely say no to you.
Rare.
Yeah.
Like when I'm with like two girls or something, they're like, okay, that's fine.
Okay. But do your friends, your mom would, if they could come here, would she allow you to spend time with your friends at your own house, alone, playing and talking?
Alone? No, she has to, like, she's always like, no, I have to be home. I need to watch you.
No, she's home, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
but I
okay.
mean, would she allow you to go
Yeah.
up in your room and spend some
Yeah,
time with
she's
your
fine with that.
girlfriends? I see. And did you think that was, I mean, she actually could have exercised her power as a parent, and she could have also said, I don't trust your friends even at home, so you only play in front of me in the living room or not. Doing that, did you think in retrospect your mom was almost coaching that she is against certain things outside home, but she was not exactly up there to annoy you? What do you think?
I feel like she was trying to meet me at like a middle point.
Okay.
And that's where it's like, I'm okay with it, but like, I just want that freedom. But
But meeting you in the middle, don't you think that's you give in and she gave in also? Or
yeah, like I'll be like with my friends here, but I can't go out with them.
oh,
so,
I understand
yeah.
that. But you wanted her to give in all the way to your way,
Yeah.
and she could have said, I want you to give in all the way to my way. Meeting in the middle, I think, is not bad, don't you think?
It's better than nothing.
Better than nothing, I agree. All right. So, Nader, you have two girls and one boy. Are they different in micromanaging and?
Absolutely. The girls have their way of thinking and their philosophy that completely is different than a boy. So we need to know how to relate to our daughters differently and individually. So between the two girls also, because there's different ages, so there's different needs to how to respond and to relate and to manage. As Nancy was saying before, the little one needs more micromanagement in her life, whereas the older one needs to get a little bit more flexibility. The point also that Nancy was talking about is the idea of putting, once I think we prepare a child to be stable young woman or young man. I always tell my children, be leaders and not followers. Always be strong in the midst of any environment. Once they've proven that, I think we would trust them in any atmosphere that they would be put in. Because they would know how to say, this is wrong, let's stop this, and they can actually change the atmosphere that they're in. Then there's more trust and there's much less micromanagement and much less even guidance.
And Nancy, do you think there is a certain age after which your older daughter will move from being managed to be coached? Is it an age, or it's a personality, or it's a gender?
I really never looked at it. I think it's as you're building that relationship, And, you know, even I see Kristen as my friend. Like sometimes I go to her for advice. And I like that I can, you know, talk to her. And so sometimes, you know, you put down your guard, like I'm your mom, and, you know, we could, you know, open the doors to talk so she could see me like that I'm just not your mom, and I'm not here to micromanage you or coach you. And that's something I noticed recently that I could do with Kristen.
When she's getting a little older and more trust,
Recently,
as you
yeah.
said.
So sometimes I can go to her and say, what do you think, Kristen? What should I do?
Is she doing that just to, you know, make you not to be upset when she micromanages you, or she's genuinely trying to be your friend?
I think it's genuine. Like, it's like a two-way thing. I'll go to her sometimes, ask her for advice.
Okay. I want to ask you something. Consider that I'm asking through your knowledge of other friends that you know of, whether your friends or her friends. There are boys and girls in the church today who they let their parents think they are micromanaging their life, but they are actually doing everything they want behind their parents' backs, and the parents feel so good and say, I know my kids, they are this and this and that, they are not doing, but you both know exactly what I mean. Which way is better? Micromanage but in the light, and you become angry and you say, Mom, that's too much, why do you do this? And a little by little she comes to grip your area of freedom that, as you mentioned before, or your maturity level, as you mentioned before. Or what do you think your friends, when they compare themselves to you, or you compare yourselves to them? They met, they may have done things, and your mom was, in your opinion at that time, was difficult, let's call her this way. What do you think today, after some years have passed? You are now 10th grade, you are now second year, going to second year college, right? So I start with you first. You know a lot of boys who, definitely you and I know, let their parents think they know everything about them.
Well, I think it's better if you have it in the light, because if you your parents don't know what you're doing, then you build like a distance between them, and then eventually like you'll find other things to replace your parents with, and I don't think that's a good thing, because family is always important because they never leave your side.
So thank you, Michael, for this answer, but let me get back to you, Kristen. Now it's some years have passed, and there were times when you were in 7th grade, 8th grade, when you felt your mom is unfair, when you felt your mom was over-empowered by her authority as a mother, and she prevented you from many things that you would have liked to do, and memories have passed because your friends went out and you didn't. Now you are 10th grade. These friends who have got their ways, let's call it got their ways back in 7 and 8, and you didn't. And you felt you were being, there is a micromanagement in this house. This is not a free area. If I want you to compare yourselves to these sisters today, I'm not here asking you to judge them. I'm asking you to judge the event, the situation, the type of raising up. So would you think, if you were to meet them in complete frankness, and you say, I missed out, and they will tell you we had fun, what do you think is happening in each one's personality today? All of you are the same grade. Do you understand the question?
Like, the differences between us now?
Fine.
I don't want to say it, but like they're like more experienced than I. Like they had more like things they encountered compared to me. But like at the end, it's like I really didn't miss out on much. It was like small moments in life. It's like they weren't really that important. Although like I wouldn't mind if like.
So your mom brought up, and I think your dad also brought up, the idea of trust. And you mentioned that there is a growing maturity in that level. I'll get back. I want to ask you again, Kristen, because I think your age is the age where would like all your brothers and sisters out there listening to you to understand there is a lot of fights happening within them, especially in her age. The unfairness complete freedom out there is my family is very uptight about things. So I'm asking, what do you think of the trust? Some of those girls, and you know it, they are doing a lot of things today behind their mom's backs. And they come and tell you, let's do it, and you say no, because you grow, hopefully, in these years to learn what's right and what's wrong. Is the growing in trust different between your home and other homes?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I honestly trust them to when someone would come up to me and ask me something about that, I'd always ask them what they think, and that's where that wisdom comes into play. But with them, they rely on kids their own age, and that's no wisdom there. So that's why I trust them to ask them things like that.
Nancy, is the trust, and you were out of all of us, you and at least from the three of us, you probably spent the longest time in the States. You basically came as a child. So, and I know your home and I know how you were brought up. Is the trust something you always, as a daughter with her mom, something that gets earned, or that's something mom has to always give it?
Earning. You have to earn someone's. It's because it's building. You got to have trust. It's building a relationship.
Yes.
So it's like a building blocks. It's every you take a step, and when you fall off a step, you gotta you're like I can't give you this right now because we need to build on this. So I believe it's definitely building.
Micromanagement in work. When I have an employee, and neither you are a manager, you will have your pharmacy technician and you will remind them with his mistakes. Is that the way you would do with your children? As micromanagement and or coaching? Like if you have a pharmacy technician who keeps breaking things.
Yeah.
And you will bring him in front of you and you tell him, listen, this and this and this, and these days you have broken these things. How do you do that in a different managerial situation? You are the manager of this house.
Well, I mean, in both cases of micromanaging at work and advising or micromanaging at home, it has one purpose, and that is a corrective, positive response or positive result. At work is to guide the person into a better, more efficient way of producing work. At home, you're creating a person and a personality so that they can handle life's troubles and problems. And when we micromanage, we basically are just guiding through personal experience the child so as to be prepared for different types of situations in life.
Great, yes. That's an excellent answer. And I think with that, I would like to summarize a few things for everybody. Number one, I think the idea of growing in trust is a beautiful idea that you all brought up. And I'm happy to hear there are levels. And Michael, you already passed a certain level and now you are on an advisorship kind of relationship with your parents because you gained a lot of trust. Maybe by age, by wisdom, maybe by rank in society, maybe because you already passed the hormonal changes in your adolescence. And I think you, Kristen, are growing very nicely from a moment of rebellion and why me and why this house and I wish I can be in a different place into I can understand where my mom comes from. I think she is trying, but sometimes she doesn't come completely right, but she probably meant well. I think as parents, we need to learn our role in life, that at certain time we need to be the advisors and not the managers of my children's lives. I can, at a certain level, in his age, cannot tell him what to do anymore. I must learn my way, that you are my beloved son, and I tell you this is what I would do in your situation. But I will never come and snatch the paper, do the things for him, fill this, send this, do. That's the role you play with Caitlin, but not with Michael. The other point, and I think this is also, thank you to you, I think the idea of micromanaging happens in a certain age. And once this age passes, we normally graduate you into a coaching or a guidance or a friendship, as Mom said. Third point, and I think you all brought it up, is the idea of how much we misunderstand each other. I mean, maybe you never really heard it, all of you talking like this. And you never really heard your mom saying, no, for me, I am very happy that she's now my friend. I talk to her. You never probably heard it, because whether she said it or not, I'm not sure. I think you never heard your son or daughter speaking about that we appreciate the management, but sometimes it's too much. We understand how much we miss out, but sometimes we look back and say it was worth it. So I think there is something to be said about both ways. I don't know if one of them is 100% completely right, except the coaching. Micromanagement probably at one time is important, but gradually need to graduate into coaching. And until we meet another time, closing the gap. Thank you very much, and see you soon.